What do you want to create here now? This is your space, but it's much deeper than decorating. It's really it's the container of who you are and who you want to be.
To design the outside, you need to go inside.
I mean, you go into a chaotic home, you will find a chaotic person.
When we make space, I mean,
Yeah.
physically, we make space mentally as well. It's Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Redesign Your Life Today, the podcast where transformation begins from within and expands into every area of your life. Today, I have the pleasure to receive a very special guest. It's Kim Depole. Kim is an acclaimed New York City-based interior designer with more than 2 decades of experience designing beautiful spaces for CEOs, developers, and private residences from Manhattan to the Hamptons and Paris. After early appearances on Oprah launched her design career, Kim followed a deeper calling, combining her lifelong meditation practice with interior design. She developed a unique approach called designing with your mind's eye, helping people transform their homes into sanctuaries that support their lives, work, and her philosophy is simple and powerful. To design the outside, you need to go inside. So today we are going to explore how our homes can become places of healing, clarity, creativity, and personal transformation. Kim, again, a very warm welcome to the show. And Kim, this was a brief introduction, but I'd like you to introduce you a little further. Who is Kim and why is she doing what she's doing today?
It is such a pleasure to be here today, and I just trust that I will be providing some insight and inspiration to your listeners because that is really my intention. I am a artist first,
Mhm.
interior designer, I would say second, but I sort of combine the two levels of artistry. And the practice of meditation was something that I kept very, very private for decades of my life. It's something that was instrumental into my work, but it wasn't something I shared. And it wasn't only recently, actually, during the pandemic, that I came to this deep understanding of the importance of combining those two practices. So that was really the genesis of that combination of inviting in meditation into my practice.
Okay, thank you. This is so how how do you integrate meditation within the practice and what you've been doing over your career? In which aspects is it important?
Okay,
Or
so at the beginning, I think it was foundational for me for developing what my values are and who I am as a person, essentially, the foundation of what that is. What I would do often in my design practice at the beginning is when I would complete a project, I'd go in very silently and I would do a special meditation. I would do a blessing. Always. I would do a blessing before I began. And then when I turned over the space, I would imbue the space with intentionality of what I created visually and what I would hope would happen within this family, within this business, within the building. So I was always clear on that. But it's interesting how now combining it in a more directed way requires modeling for me because often clients that are not familiar with the practice or perhaps they are might be a little intimidated by it or thinking that it's a little too foreign. But for me, do you question your breath? To me, meditation is truly just the breath.
Mhm.
And it's as simple as that. So it's been an interesting challenge to introduce that and be very, foremost about, yes, you would like to work with me, yes, we're going to imbue your home with these practices as well in the creation of it.
Wow, this is so powerful. So when you meet someone, when somebody would like to work with you, so do you have like an in-depth conversation first to really understand what the, how do you say, the energy of the person and what would be best for them in the home?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, um I created a guide called the Home Clarity Guide
Hmm.
where I could see if there's truly any obstacles or challenges they have. Um, Quite often they think it's just literally the position of the furniture or maybe it's the color of the walls, but it's much deeper than decorating. It's really it's the container of who you are and who you want to be. So I become a little bit more um particular in the holistic view of it, not in just one aspect of it.
This is so beautiful, and this resonates very much with me. We just have a few words before, and there's this quote from you, which really is so powerful, which is to design the outside, you need to go inside. So, what does it really mean in practice when someone becomes to redesign their home?
I worked with a couple that were, I hate the word empty nester, that concept, once the children are away, it's to me, it's kind of negative. I like to refer to it as recalibrate. We're
Mhm.
recalibrating, we're curating. I use more empowering language. So I sat them both down and I said, let's close your eyes. And you created this beautiful home. You have all these, exquisite photos of all of your children and their magnificent weddings. Now, what do you want to create here now? This is your space again. What is left here that no longer serves you? Maybe it's a touchstone of memory that you can honor, right? But maybe you just need one. You don't need every single chair and side table and lamp from this auntie, from this uncle, from this. Do you know? So we really did a deep dive in them releasing things that no longer serve them. And it was so much fun because I would see like a little smile on their faces when it's like I gave them the permission slip. Like release. It's okay. You can let go of that beautiful, you don't let go of the memory, but you don't need this big piece of furniture that's not doing anything, that's making the space feel small or whatever. But you have to kind of enter the room on that emotional connection. You can't just go in there and say, get rid of this, get rid of that, and be dismissive because it is so intimate to go into someone's home. There is nothing more intimate than the minute you open someone's door and walk in, you can see everything about them in just opening the door, can't you? I mean, to me, it's very revealing on so many levels.
Well, I have to say, I love it. And it really so much resonates with me because you talk about letting go, right? So the importance of making space, because when we make space, I mean,
Yeah.
physically, we make space mentally as well. It's about releasing attachment, as you said, to
Yes.
the things or which don't serve us anymore.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And then what's that connection? Like when you cut that or remove it, but then you also think maybe this piece of furniture could be so precious to someone else. And for you, it's collecting dust. Like, think about the service of that object as well. You're not taking it with you. I mean, King Tut was surrounded by all of his objects, right? I mean, he couldn't take it with him. So, you really need to think about that, especially when you're in that other phase of your life. Like, I think Tony Robbins refers to it as the winter of your life. You're in the spring, the summer, but I don't know. I like winter, but I like spring better. So
Yeah, and you see, perhaps for me, I like very much Tony Robbins as well. Perhaps it would be fall or autumn,
yeah, I
before
like, yeah,
winter,
exactly.
because
My favorite season, yes.
well, there's so much to be done, and it's really about looking at life And this is, obviously this podcast is about transformation. So it's exactly what you are talking about, Kim, making people understand that, right, there's a change in the life. It's just a new opportunity. It's a new
Yeah.
opportunity to, and perhaps to reconnect with some of the passions you had in the past. And obviously, we have all the children, and we know, I've got children as well. Life is very much centered around children. But afterwards, we still had the things we wanted to do, we didn't have time to. And then we can start again, as you say, blossoming.
Yeah, I was like, it's an opportunity to recalibrate. I mean, it's magnificent. And they love it. And it was so sweet. After our meeting, they sent me this little text and said, we feel like, like newlyweds in a way. Like we've got that, it's like our first step again into our future together. So that was really such a rewarding and lovely experience for me. It really was.
No, this is beautiful. And perhaps if I can draw a parallel as well, it's like as well when we look into our cupboards to get rid of clothes we've had for years. And when we want to buy something, there's no space, So it's
Yes.
really about making space. And I heard something very interesting is for people who are a little reluctant to do that, instead of just giving them away right away, put them in a cartons and just see, after 2 months, 4 months, if they
If it's
miss it.
still
And
there,
if they
yeah.
don't,
Yeah,
so
then you can, or if you're a little bit too rotund and there's no way you're getting back into those skinny jeans, it's time to
exactly.
give those away.
Exactly. It's like, and I suppose it's as well about accepting yourself the way you are.
Yeah, being present. Like I was blessed to go on silent retreat with Thich Nhat Hanh, the Zen monk. And
Okay.
I think about him every day because it's the reminder, present moment, perfect moment. As simple
Absolutely.
as that. When you're thinking in the past or you're in the future, are you here presently? Like as a reminder. Absolutely. Yeah.
Exactly. And being fully present. And obviously, you spoke about meditation, about breath, about blessing. Obviously, there's another word which comes to mind, gratitude.
Yes.
Tell
Absolutely.
us, Kim, how important gratitude is in our daily life.
Oh, for me, it's everything. I did a series on Substack. Everybody was doing New Year's resolutions, and I thought, I am so tired of these New Year's resolutions. All you need is one. So I did 7 weeks of gratitude, and I included a little exercise each week that you could do. Something as simple as soon as you wake up, go to the window and just look at the sky. That's it. It's simple as that. And for that gratitude of what? Being present to be able to have a window, to be present, to look at the sky. I mean, it just seems like the simplest of things. But when you're rushing around in the morning, you're grabbing your coffee, if you just did that, it sort of lessens the pressure, like immediately, like just like that. So yeah, gratitude is pretty much everything.
Absolutely. And thank you, Kim. And another word which comes to mind is purpose. What's the
Yes.
importance of purpose and in for oneself in the design of the house? Can you tell us about this?
Yeah, so purpose, I kind of replace purpose with intention.
Okay. Mhm.
Right. For me, purpose is more didactic or just like directed in a way. Intention is like heart-based to me in a way. So it's my intention of what I want to create. It cannot be separated from creativity, can it? Because your intention is the act of creation. So, what is your intention? Is this a space to relax? Is this a space to entertain? Is this, a space to create art? Or is this a corner that I go to every day to meditate? So, intentionality to me is it's gratitude and it's intention.
Beautiful. It's beautiful. And Kim, you mentioned at the beginning of the our conversation that first you were an artist, right? Can you tell us a little more about this?
Well, I kind of come from a family of artists. My eldest sister is a magnificent artist, just extraordinary, and my other sister as well. And then, one was a dress designer, one's an architect. So I've always had that imbued in my experience. Even one of my favorite memories is one of my godmother would bring me to the Metropolitan Museum when I was as young as 3, 4. I have a memory of going to the Metropolitan Museum and knowing exactly what that space before they did the renovation looked like,
Mhm.
and the statuary, and so it was really embedded in my DNA. So and I don't really separate artists, but I did study fine art. I was part of a community gallery in New York. I made art, I showed art, but then I kind of went on a different pathway after I had lived in Japan and came back to New York, and was asked to work on the first show houses, the DIFA show houses. And that was my first dive into design. And it was extraordinary because it literally was a townhouse that was donated. And then they invited all these different people from different modalities to design rooms in the house. And my job, if you could imagine, was like air traffic controller of the whole house and then open it up to the public. So that was what sparked my veering from being an artist and pursuing that to going into a career of interior design.
Wow.
Huge.
They-
That was just I mean, your first job, you're working with the architect Michael Graves. You get to meet Alessi, the extraordinary product designer from Italy. I mean, it was just mind-boggling. So, yeah, somebody gave me the golden ticket, and I just like ran with it. So yeah, it's amazing.
Well, but you did. This is it. You took action as well. It means
Oh,
that
yes.
because things don't come like on a silver plate. I think you've got to
Oh
really
yeah, there
make
was
it.
a lot of work. Oh my goodness gracious, there was a lot of work and dedication required. I mean, I can't even imagine. And then I did it twice. It was so successful they invited me back for another year contract. And then from that association, I also got to work with the dress designer Jeffrey Bean in
Mhm.
developing products for the home. So it was just extraordinary. I mean, I've been gifted, and I don't take it lightly what a gift each one of those invitations created. Not I don't take that for granted for a second.
And you see, when you mentioned that, Kim, what comes to mind as well, when gifts happen, I mean, on a spiritual level, they don't come by, there's no coincidence. They come
Yeah.
because you have shown to the universe or God or whatever, however we call it, that you really want to do, you want to create. And the more you create, the more things are coming to you. Does it
Yeah.
resonate with you?
Yeah, no, truly, like when I think back on that, even being invited on Oprah, which is pretty extraordinary to be on Oprah twice, out of the blue, out of nothing to get a call. I mean, that was, I remember, oh, can you drop everything and do a segment tomorrow? And I put the phone down first and I danced around the studio. And I said,
Wow, I
yes,
mean,
what do you need? I'll be there.
this is amazing. Actually, can you tell our viewers a little more about your, your presence on Oprah's
Oh
show?
yeah, so it's a little bittersweet for me because I used to watch Oprah with my mother, and she was dying of cancer, and she would say to me, "Kimmy, you're going to be on that show one day," and I'm like, "Okay, yeah, I guess the meds are kicking in now." I would just be like, "Oh really? Okay, all right." And who didn't adore Oprah back in those days when she was in Chicago at the Harpo
Mhm.
Studios? So I had been doing a bunch of TV little segments for Lifetime TV. I did a show for CBS TV, little design segments where I would show you how to make something or transform something in 2 minutes, blah, blah, blah. So one of the producers called me up out of the blue and said, Kim, I moved to Chicago. I'm a producer on Oprah. Can you drop everything? Because I need you for a show that is going to be filmed in New Jersey like tomorrow. And that's when I, dropped the phone and did the dancing. And so I did that segment, and, it turned out magnificently, but I didn't get to go to Chicago. And then just like less than a year later, they called again, and they flew They flew me, my painter, my assistant for a week, and we just filmed like different segments. And then, to be seated next to Oprah on the set, I still get like goosebumps, remembering it. It was just an extraordinary, extraordinary experience. I don't think I slept for 2 solid weeks because it was just so, an out of body experience. But then to not have my mother here to share that with was hard. But it was just that's why I kind of temper it with it being a bit bittersweet. But yeah, I mean, to say you were on Oprah not once but twice is, it means a little something,
Well, it's amazing. And again, on a spiritual level, your mother was with you.
Yes. Yeah,
She
yes,
was,
she
and she
was.
was, and she
Yeah.
was very proud of you.
Oh,
Because,
I know. She
you
was,
know,
yeah.
when we think about the souls, and there's a body and the souls are there. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think at that time I wasn't as involved in that way. I can have that perspective. And the other gift that keeps giving from that Oprah show is a little lady from Fort Lee, New Jersey called me up and said, "Kim, I saw you on the Oprah show. Will you come and do my studio apartment in Fort Lee, New Jersey?" And of course I did. And she's a dear friend. She's now 97 years old and she does tango dancing once a week in Manhattan, drives her little car across the bridge. So there you go. It's like that connection to Oprah is still a source of deep inspiration because she's my dear heart inspirational friend. So there you go. It's like the gift that keeps giving.
and this is beautiful. It's really when you put things into motion from your heart because you really want to help, you want to give, you want to add value. Things are happening. Things are
Yeah.
happening. And you see, I'm saying that the previous version of myself, like 5, 6 years ago, would have nearly laughed. But I have as well. I had a kind of spiritual awakening, and this
Ah,
was
tell
like
me.
this transformed my life, I have to
Yeah,
say.
tell
Really,
yeah, tell me about that.
well, you see, I used to be a perfectionist, for instance. I really just like, and I had a lot of things. And first, by becoming a coach, I mean, and learning about this. I realized that the first 7 years of your life have a major influence for the rest of your life because you take everything in
Yes.
without filter. And this is the programming, and this is where we get these saboteurs like being a perfectionist, being a controller, being a people pleaser. And
Right.
I didn't know that. I thought, it was me. But when I discovered it, it was just programs. And I followed a program called Positive Intelligence. I loved it so much that this is what now I'm helping people with. Uncover that these voices are not them. These are
Right.
just, and you can
Exactly.
reframe them. And as you said before, instead of being in your so-called reptilian brain, which is the survival mode, you can
Survivor. Yeah.
go into the right part of the brain, which is about being calm, taking decisions with clarity, having the confidence, having a purpose. And it's
Yeah.
why I really feel so much aligned with what your work and what the way you help people really conceiving the homes which are reflections of who they are.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
So, and Kim, I said in the introduction, you've worked with CEOs, we've worked with companies and in the US and in the UK, in the Hamptons and in Paris. Are there some interesting stories you would like to share with us about? And first of all, did you see big differences in the cultures there?
Oh goodness, yes, of course. I mean, what's so fascinating, I think the foundation of how I designed was informed by living in Japan and living in a traditional Japanese home and understanding that as crowded as it is, as many people that are here, there's a way to create your own space and the delineation of that and respect of that. And the beauty of everything, anything you touch, anything you see, anything you eat has been considered. So I kind of like seep that in, but also traveled through India and Burma and Thailand and Nepal. So I have all of that like interest in all those cultures. But the funniest story I have to share is the story, of course, about the job in Paris. So I was working with very beloved clients, Carolyn Reedy, who was the CEO of Simon and Schuster, who passed away, and went into her new incarnation. She changed her clothing, is what I like to say.
Hmm.
And I did their house in the Hamptons. I did the loft in Manhattan. I did, everything. I moved them from the house in Brooklyn. So they were traveling and they were in London and they called me up and they said, Kim, we have a carpet we bought in India and we realized we can't put it in the Hamptons. We can't put it in, where's it going to go? So we're going to buy an apartment in Paris. What do you think? Would you like to work on a project in Paris? It's a little bit like my Oprah dance. I put down the phone, I dance around the studio. So it was just so magnificent. And then I thought, oh, I get to look at these magnificent apartments. Like, oh, I love a round room. I had all of this like ideas of grandeur. They bought an apartment, oh my God, in the first arrondissement that looked like a bomb hit it. But it was great because it was had so much potential, but it was really a tour de force to come up with an interior to transform it. But that's just the sweetest story of being like called up from London and saying, we've got this carpet, we have no place to put it. And then to work with ebonists and French architect, and oh my God, it was just the most extraordinary, and then to be running across the Rue de Opera with my Lalique vase to put the flowers in it to get it into the apartment in time. It was kind of like that. I wish I captured it on film because it was pretty extraordinary.
Thank you so much for sharing this story. I mean, this is absolutely beautiful. And see, when you mentioned about you lived in Japan, and what comes to mind as well sometimes is really even in the houses, there's not so much furniture. It's very kind of very lean. And there's another word on which I really would like your feedback, feng shui.
Oh yeah, feng shui. Yes.
How does feng shui resonate with you? Is it
Oh,
some is it
yeah.
something you implement as well, or
Oh, absolutely. But see, I defer to the experts for it because I think feng shui has been kind of masticized and diluted and reduced. And I kind of refer back to like really the first teachings and the people that come from particular, sects and studies. So I've worked with, when I had my office space, I had an incredible feng shui consultant, and then after a few years I invited somebody else to come and do an assessment, and also here in my apartment, and it's always a great learning experience. I remember the first book was by Sarah Rosbach, my God, probably 30 years ago, introducing it to the West. And I think it's really important. But I have to say, when I really dug deep into it, there's so much of it that is common sense, and there's so much of it that I was already doing. But it makes a lot of it's very logical. But then, some of it sometimes gets a little extreme. That's why I like to defer to an expert in practicing it. And I would never say that I'm a feng shui expert by any means, even though I've studied it for years, because that requires a very specific kind of study.
wow, thank you. And Kim, some people say that when you come to a flat or a house, you can feel the energy
Oh,
which is there.
absolutely.
How does
Yes.
this resonate with you?
Oh, 100%. And I'm particularly sensitive. I'm sensitive to also the people's energies too. I mean, I live in New York City, so you can
Mhm.
you can imagine. And I was last fall organizing something called Mind the Gap, where I would put people together to meditate in the subways to change the energy in the subways. And I think I was a little too robust in that effort. I kind of stopped doing it because I thought, I need to go a little deeper to do that. Like that, it just seemed a little. So I mean, I meditate in the subway is what I'm saying too, because I know I can change the energy in the space. I could turn something that's very negative and just imbue it with calm. I mean, I try to do that in my work all the time in terms of like if I'm in a home that's particularly chaotic, it's okay. What's the state of the person in the home first?
Yes, exactly.
Because as you first quoted, I mean, you go into a chaotic home, you will find a chaotic person. You go into a depressed home, you will find a, magnificently depressed person. So and one informs the other, but you can't make that change unless you change and you start that energy from the inside out. So
Wow. And this is so powerful. And yeah, but again, this resonates with me because the outside world is really a reflection, a mirror of who we are internally,
yeah,
isn't it? So, I mean, Kim, it's been absolutely fascinating. The time has gone so quickly, and
I can't
I,
believe it's all. Wow. I mean, I
I
feel
mean,
like we
it's
just started to talk.
yeah. There will be I'm sure there will be other opportunities. But Kim, if you were to leave our viewers with like three tips, imagine, oh, they've got their flat, they're not so happy, they've got this, and they would like to do something about it. What would it be, or what would there be?
Okay, when you ask for three, I feel like I can condense the three into one powerful one,
Hmm.
and it's as simple as the word gratitude. You
Hmm.
cannot hold a negative thought at the same time when you are holding a thought about being grateful or gratitude. And it's as simple as being, grateful for being in good health, the state you're in, but also to think beyond it. It's not just your physical presence. I'm sure you can always seek at least three, I would say that, three reasons to be grateful. And then once you start, you can keep going and keep going and keep going. What I just started, which is really interesting, I started a book, a proof book of when I have that really strong feeling of gratitude, then this happened. So I have like a whole book now that started with just one page, and now I think I'm up to 10 where I just write during the course of the day in the morning generally. Um, this was as a result of me being in that state of gratitude. So think about that. Think about how you could bring and manifest that with just that thought and again, the powerful word intention.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's absolutely beautiful, and it's one of the most important words in my life. And even to, I mean, there's this other thing I learned as well, that the gratitude is not just for what you have now, but what you don't have. What if you wish something, just be
Yeah.
grateful already now. I mean, it's that, there's this word about manifestation, and it's
Yeah.
really putting yourself in the state of in which you would like to be, this vibrational state. And
Yeah.
then,
There's a beautiful saying that the Dalai Lama does when he wants to bring something forth, and he just simply says, and so it is. And
yeah,
so it is. And it's almost like you go like that with your hand, and so it is that you bring it into the present moment. And so it is. Not so it will be. No, and so it is. So,
exactly. And this is exactly, and I think even in the perhaps in the Bible, there are some of these very similar sayings. It's
right, exactly.
so well, thank you so much, Kim. I mean, it's been such a beautiful conversation. What I really love about your work is that it reminds us that our homes are not just the place where we live, but they are reflections of who we are and who we are becoming.
Hmm.
When we design our space with emotion, mindfulness, and authenticity, we create environments that support our well-being, our creativity, and our purpose. So thank you so much. And Kim,
Thank
for our
you.
viewers who would like to connect with you, who would like, really to know more about you, how can they connect with you?
Well, I'm so excited. I just started something called Intentional Home with Depole Design. And then if they go to that page, they can enter their information. And I've created the Home Clarity Guide that they can participate and begin their journey of what needs to be what they want to bring into their life, what they would like to manifest in creating a, I like to call it like a sacred home. Everybody uses the word sanctuary. Um, I like the word sacred because there's nothing more sacred than your home.
Absolutely. What a beautiful word to finish this conversation. Really, I'm so grateful to you,
Oh,
Kim.
I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful that you are being such a beacon of light, the North Star of people's transformation. That's lovely. That's a beautiful gift.
Well, you see, I've got goosebumps when you say that. But you see, Kim, it's energy. It's an exchange of energy. When I have guests like you who shared about this transformation, who experienced wonderful things, but again, it's because you wanted to, to shed your light as well, which
Yes,
was there. And again, we all have different talents, abilities, whatever they are. And I think we are on this planet for a mission, really to help others with
yes,
our God-given gifts. And when we do that, this is really when we we become fulfilled, and because we know that we do things which are beyond ourselves.
right. Yes, absolutely.
So thank you so much again, and
Thank
thank you
you.
for our viewers who are with us now. And I hope you got a lot of insights from these conversations and from Kim's wisdom. So my only request is, please, if you like this interview, share it with your friends, with your family, and with people, you know, particularly people who know that with their homes they could do something different. And so now it's really a moment to act, and of course to contact Kim if you, because she will be able to give you all the advice you need there. So thank you
Beautiful.
so much to everyone, and I will see you at the next episode. Bye bye.
Beautiful. Oh, I've